वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात् तमेव विदित्वाति मृत्युमेति नान्यः पन्था विद्यते यनाय नान्यः पन्था विद्यते यनाय। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
Namaste, brothers and sisters all over the world. This is Dr. Satish Prakash trying to reach out to you on the occasion of the Foundation Day of the Arya Samaj worldwide, and more especially the foundation of the Arya Samaj in Auckland City, New Zealand. I'm sending this message out to the Auckland Arya Samaj and to all branches of the Arya Samaj all over the world. And I'm beginning the discussion today with the thought that in the 19th century there were two great reformers, and they both lived in the 19th century. One lived in Europe, his name was Karl Marx, and the other one lived in Dayanand. The other one's name was Dayanand, and he lived in India. And they both sought to bring about a revolution of their own kind in response to the challenges of that age. Karl Marx sought to bring about a political revolution with economic impact. And his revolution, the name of his revolution, was summarized in the word communism. And Dayanand Saraswati sought to bring about a revolution in response to his time, the challenges in his time, and his revolution was a religious/spiritual/cultural revolution with political and economic impact. And the name of his revolution was the Arya Samaj. And communism has collapsed all over the world, whereas the Arya Samaj is still alive all over the world. The Arya Samaj was established on April the 10th in the year 1875 in Bombay City. And with the movement of Indians from within the borders of India, outside the borders of India, to all countries that now make up the Hindu diaspora, the Arya Samaj is present. In all these affluent countries in Asia, in Africa, in North America, in South America, in Europe, the Arya Samaj is very much alive. And it is important on a day like Arya Samaj Foundation Day that we ask ourselves the question, why is it important to take cognizance of the Arya Samaj, to remember the Arya Samaj, to put in perspective the Arya Samaj and its existence? Why is it so important? And I'll begin this discussion by saying that the Arya Samaj is a very distinguished organization. You know, many of us create organizations. We incorporate organizations, 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. They come together and they establish an organization. That's not the way the Arya Samaj was established. It began with the founder when he was 13 years old. At that time, he wasn't Dayanand Saraswati. His name was Mool Shankar. And at the age of 13, he went to the Shivaratri temple to look for God. And it's a long story and I don't have much time, but he didn't find God. And then around the age of 19, his sister died. And then his chacha, his uncle, died. And from the time of the Shivaratri incident, from age 13 to age 19, he kept thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And who is this God? And what is his nature? And he wondered and wondered. And then when his sister and uncle died at age 19, he continued asking himself the question, well, what is death and why do we have to die? And these two questions, the search for God and the search for an answer to death, led him to leave his home when he was approximately 21. He left his home and he went in search of a teacher, more so a yoga teacher, to open up secrets to him, secrets relating to God and death and existence. Who caused this existence? Who brought about this existence? And when he didn't find a teacher, even though he searched, his search led him to the door of a teacher of Sanskrit grammar whose name was Swami Virjanand Saraswati in the year 1860. He was born in 1825, and by the time the year 1860 came about, he found a guru, a teacher, but that teacher gave him the secrets of grammar and etymology that was going to prepare him to walk through the portals leading to Vedic knowledge. He studied in the company of his teacher, in the ashram of his teacher. He studied grammar, etymology, and he discovered a theory, an idea, a concept called the Arsh doctrine. And his guru gave him a measurement. All the books written by the rishis, in other words, all the Arsh books were the books to be pursued and studied and taught and disseminated. And the books that were not written by the rishis were the books, in as much as they were good and they had good contents to a degree, they were the books that had to be put on the side. That was an important clarification that Dayanand Saraswati got from his guru. And he traveled, after he graduated, he toured the length and breadth of North India, talking to people, giving discourses, giving lectures, engaging in debates to find out the ultimate truth. And in his search for the ultimate truth, Dayanand Saraswati went to the city of Calcutta, that was the capital of Bengal. At that time it was a united Bengal. He went to Bengal and he saw a very successful movement called the Brahmo Samaj. And he saw how these intelligent Bengalis sought to bring reform in Hindu society on the platform of the Brahmo Samaj. And he saw how they wrote books and how they published their books and they disseminated their books. And Dayanand came to be filled with excellent ideas on how to put together a Samaj of his own. And in the year 1875, now the Arya Samaj, he was born in 1825. Some people say 1824. We'll have that discussion another time. But for now, 1825. He was born in 1825. And in 1875, he was now getting ready to establish not the Brahmo Samaj, not the God Samaj. And there was another Samaj, the Prashna Samaj, the Prayer Samaj. He wasn't going to establish either a God Samaj or a Prayer Samaj. He was going to establish a Samaj that sought to build the character of people. And he named his Samaj the Arya Samaj. That's one thing. The next thing important to understand why this organization is considered very distinguished was that in that same year of 1875, he wrote and published his first major work, He had written 2 or 3 small books before, but this was his first major work, and he called it the Satish Prakash, the light that was being shed on the meaning of truth. These days, for the sake of brevity, people call it the light of truth. But Satya Prakash doesn't mean merely the light of truth. It means light shed on the meaning of truth. And with the Satya Prakash and the Arya Samaj, and along with 28 principles which he put together to guide the Samaj, he went out into the length and breadth of India. One more important thing, it is important for me and you to understand, was that he visited the Punjab, where people were fighting for a sense of identity, where the Hindus and the Sikhs were being challenged by the Christians, very powerful people called the Christians and the British administration and the Christian missionaries, the proselytizing Christian and the advancing British, 2 terms, the advancing British and the proselytizing Christian. They were zeroing on the Punjabi society, and the Punjabi Sikhs were ready to rise up in revolt. And when they heard the voice of Dayanand Saraswati, they felt that Dayanand Saraswati could give them a voice that they needed. So his visit to the Punjab was extremely meaningful, extremely powerful. And with the experience he gathered in the Punjab, he went forth even further. The Arya Samaj, the 28 principles that the Arya Samaj was blessed with and was given to them by Dayanand Saraswati, the intelligentsia in Punjab condensed those 28 principles into 10 principles. And it's very important that you and I understand a few important points found in the 10 principles. One is that the Ved is the fount of all true knowledge. No other organization has that kind of concept as there being a fount of knowledge given by God at the beginning of creation to the first rishis who were born through the asexual process of creation. And the Arya Samaj is committed to teaching the Ved because it's a very fundamental scripture. When Hindus didn't have a book of wisdom to hold on to, when Christians had their Bible, when Muslims had their Quran, the poor Hindus didn't have a concept of a book in their hand. And Dayanand gave them a book and said, here is your book of wisdom. And this book of wisdom is the Ved. And the Arya Samaj, why is it so special on this foundation day of April the 10th and on the establishment day of the Auckland Arya Samaj? Why is the Arya Samaj important? It's because we have a text. We have not merely a text. The word text is a very old concept, or in a certain sense, is a modern concept. We have a source of wisdom that you and I can consult and understand what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And Dayanand Saraswati gave the world a source. Let me use the word book for now. A book of wisdom that they can hold in their hand, and they can turn the pages and they can consult very intelligently and come to definitive ideas that will bring progress for humanity. That the Ved is the fount of that knowledge. And then he said, reading and teaching that Ved is the paramount duty of any human being, white, black, Hispanic, Indian, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jew, is the paramount duty of any human being who wants to be noble in life. His tenet and belief system was very Catholic and broad-based. He didn't say Krinvanto Hindum Aryam, go make all the Hindus Aryas. He didn't say that. He said Krinvanto Vishwamaryam, make the entire universe noble. And one more thing, he said to promote knowledge. Listen to this. It wasn't a new religion. Dayanand Saraswati did not seek to establish a new religion, and nor did he seek to proclaim himself the new Pope or the new Shankaracharya or the new prophet. No. He said, I'm an ordinary human being. All I've come is to preach what the original rishis taught in the beginning of creation, and after them even the other rishis, from Brahma down to Jaimini. So when you and I think of why was the Arya Samaj established and why is it important to remember the Arya Samaj on this foundation establishment day and on the day of the 25th anniversary of the Auckland Arya Samaj, it's very important to understand that you have a task to promote the knowledge of the Vedas and to dispel the ignorance that has submerged humanity for ages and centuries. This Arya Samaj is committed, and this Arya Samaj is dedicated and surrendered to that task. To promote knowledge, listen carefully, on an Arya Samaj Foundation Day, what are we thinking about? What are we recommitting ourselves and rededicating ourselves to? The fact that you and I have a task, and that task is to promote knowledge and to dispel ignorance. The world is still inundated in ignorance, mankind. That's why we have so many wars. That is why we have so many causes for instability, broken homes, generation gap problems, sibling and sibling rivalry, neighbor and neighbor rivalry, is because all the texts have been given a chance to bring world peace, but the Ved has not yet been given a chance to bring that peace. And the Aryas, there are other organizations that talk of Ved. Shri Aurobindo talks about, Aurobindo Ghosh, he talks about Ved. Our Sanatani Pandits and leaders, they also talk about Ved. But the Ved Dayanand Saraswati spoke about the Ved is unparalleled and has not yet been matched, because in our regular Hindu society, the value of the Ved is seen only when you do yajnas. The Ved is to be recited during the time that yajnas are performed. They never talked about the Ved being the fount of all scientific and other forms of knowledge. It was Dayanand Saraswati who came and gave us that formula for individual, societal, and world development. So I wouldn't be long. I have to contain the message very brief. So in sending out this message on Arya Samaj Foundation Day to all countries where the Arya Samaj has registered a presence, and also on the occasion of the 25th anniversary since the establishment of the Auckland Arya Samaj in New Zealand, I am asking you to think of the Arya Samaj not being a mere association put together by some people who have the idea of forming an organization. No, this Arya Samaj was established after a long, painful trajectory and path that saw its founder walk and travel and walk and travel and continued seeking and seeking and seeking. And after so many years of tireless walking, he reached the Guru in Mathura in 1860, and he stayed for approximately 3 years, and he got the key in his hand to open the door that led into the room that contained the Vedic knowledge. I would say mansion, led into the mansion that contained Vedic knowledge. You and I must take that key like a baton from Dayanand Saraswati. He passed on that key to me and you like a baton. And you and I must pass that baton down to our children. If Arya Samaj Foundation Day is to have meaning and significance, then you and I must pass that baton to our children and teach them to pass it on to their children when the time comes. Arya Samaj is a very special organization. It is not a new religion. It is a movement that seeks to create a stage on which people imbued with the idea of survival of values, imbued with the idea of saving the current and later generations, all people of all backgrounds who care about this current and later generations, they are invited to come on the platform of the Arya Samaj to take wisdom that doesn't have any adjectives and tags, but wisdom that is universal. Wisdom that is universal, take that wisdom and motivate mankind so that values, human values of understanding and tolerance, human values of sympathy and empathy can survive. So brothers and sisters, in a very brief period of time, I've sought to answer this question. Why was the Arya Samaj established? How it was established? What makes the Arya Samaj very special? And why is it important for me and you to to remember this Arya Samaj Foundation Day, April the 10th, 1875, 2021, and the 25th anniversary of the Arya Samaj in Auckland, in the country of New Zealand. With that, I say namaste and happy Arya Samaj Foundation Day. Greetings to all of you. Om Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam. Let us pool our resources to make the world a better place to live and to make every conceivable human being nobly inclined. With that, I say namaste.
इन्द्रं वर्धन्तो अप्तुरः कृण्वन्तो विश्वमार्यम् अपघ्नन्तो अरावणः
जो बोले सो अभय।
वैदिक सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय।
कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, आर्य समाज की जय हो। करो प्रचार दुनिया में कि वैदिक धर्म की जय हो। Oh friends, come let us all proclaim with one voice, Vedic Satya Sanatan Dharma Ki Jai. Come let us pool our resources to disseminate this dharma in all communities. सनातन धर्म है सच्चा कि गाया जिसको वेदों ने।
सनातन धर्म है सच्चा कि गाया जिसको वेदों ने।
लगाओ मन इसी में तुम, सनातन धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
Vedic Satya Sanatan Dharma is a true way because it is taught by God in Ved. Oh, let your mind be immersed in this dharma. सनातन धर्म रक्षाहित, हजारों कट मरे रण में।
सनातन धर्म रक्षाहित, हजारों कट मरे रण में।
कभी मुख को नहीं मोड़ा, सनातन धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
Many heroes gave up their lives for the furtherance of this dharma. O you Arya Samaji, O you Sanatan Dharmi, never turn away from this dharma. ऋषि संतान होने का जो दावा मन में रखते हो,
ऋषि संतान होने का जो दावा मन में रखते हो,
न छोड़ो धर्म अपने को, वैदिक धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
O you Arya Samaji and Sanatan Dharmi, you claim to be a child of the Rishis. You must never, you can never abandon Vedic Satya Sanatan Dharma. ये बिनती श्याम करता है, दोनों कर जोड़ कर भगवन।
ये विनती श्याम करता है, दोनों कर जोड़ कर भगवन।
सकल संसार में स्वामी, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो। कहो एक बार हे मित्रों, सनातन धर्म की जय हो।
For a greater part of the day, God, we sink ourselves in the activities of this world and we become saturated with negativity. We now come to your shelter, God. Have mercy upon us and take care of our broken state. शरण में आए हैं हम तुम्हारी, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
शरण में आए हैं हम तुम्हारे, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
संभालो बिगड़ी दशा हमारी, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
शरण में आए हैं हम तुम्हारे, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
न हम में बल है, न हम में शक्ति, न हम में साधन, न हम में भक्ति। तुम्हारे दर के हैं हम भिखारी, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन। दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
शरण में आए हैं हम तुम्हारे, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
जो तुम हो स्वामी तो हम हैं सेवक, जो तुम पिता हो तो हम हैं बालक, जो तुम हो ठाकुर तो हम पुजारी। दया करो हे दयालु भगवन, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
शरण में आए हैं हम तुम्हारी, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
प्रदान कर दो महान शक्ति, भरो हमारे में ज्ञान भक्ति, तभी कहावोगे तापहारी। दया करो हे दयालु भगवन, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
शरण में आए हैं हम तुम्हारी, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।
संभालो बिगड़ी दशा हमारी, दया करो हे दयालु भगवन।